This is a video of my journey melting copper for the business. Want to figure out how to make the fittings ourselves, the connection fittings for our copper moonshine stills, the spin fittings, the unions, the step down, the couplings. No more importing. We can make them here in our shop. We already have all the scrap. I figured can't be too hard. We already scrap so much copper. Why can't we make our own fittings? So I did what everybody else would do. I went online and asked around and built my own little foundry. Thought it was going to be easy. I was wrong. It's definitely a science to it. So this is the video here of when I first got started trying to melt the copper, bringing it outside, out in the back, getting a little bit more interested in it. Liking what I'm seeing, but not really getting the melting of it down. So I'm throwing what I can at it, and eventually I get it. But I just kept loading up the copper and loading up the copper, and it overflowed, and I ended up with a big mess. And I should have stopped there. I should have just rebuilt everything and kept there, but no, I ended up going a lot bigger than what's in the picture there, and I ended up going a lot bigger. Should have just went smaller, actually, looking back. So, what happened was all the copper ended up pooling up in the bottom of the foundry. I wasn't able to get it out easily whatsoever, so I ended up building the foundry bigger and different, which I thought would be fine, but it ended up only getting me copper, 90% melted in the crucible. So I was able to get these ingots here, but I'd have to break the crucible every time. And I did have a little bit of success pouring it, but there would be a lot of waste. So kind of took a little break and thought more long term about it. I studied more, thought more long term about it, and started making this form here where I wanted to put the copper in from the top, and it would pour down on that crucible, and it would make a copper pot all one piece. It all sounded great, all sounded cool. And I did end up doing it. The void was too big. When I ended up pouring the copper, the void was too big, and I just needed more copper. So it's been a very long learning experience. Started April 2nd on Liberation Day. It's now beginning of October. So this is some more pictures of the form here. And then bringing it outside was a journey in itself, but we ended up getting it outside. And this is just a picture of the foundry where I probably should have stopped and stayed at this level and this size. Everything would have worked out fine. I would have saved a lot of time. This is probably maybe 45 days into the journey. Some more pictures of me finishing up the form there. This is us bringing it outside, out in the back. I was very excited to get to this point because I was melting the copper. Um, but I ended up going bigger, as you can see there. Ended up going bigger. But this is still a video of when it was smaller, of us bringing it in the backyard. Definitely heavy. Took me many hours to finish that form right there. Still have it. Still gonna pour the copper in it. I haven't yet. I ended up switching gears more to the parts and the fittings than more than rather than the original goal of us pouring the pot. As you can see here, this is when my guys basically quit on me. They said they were not going to do it again with me. It's just too dangerous. It's just not what they signed up for, which I completely understood. So this is part of why I ended up going bigger, because I ended up uh, building. You'll see. But I've here's some more of the picture here of the ingots that I'm able to get. But as you can see, it's very rough on the side there. That's before I was able to trim it down on the lathe. So that is because every time that I would be finished, I'd have to break my crucible. I wasn't able to get it hot enough to actually pour. Every time I would take it out of the foundry, it would solidify. So I was doing something wrong still. It just wasn't not efficient. It was just not efficient the way I was doing it. But it was efficient enough to get these ingots here, so I was still excited along my journey and along my path. At this point here, it's about 2.5 months in, and we were able to pour. It was not efficient. I was able to get it to pour, but every time that we took it out, it would just solidify. The day I just showed you previously was the day that we got it, and everything crumbled after that. Everything just fell apart after that. And when I built the foundry bigger, it ended up not being able to melt at all. So looking back, I wish I just paused there instead of doing what I did. What I ended up doing was building a massive foundry that's only going to be good enough for aluminum for us. It's just going to be too hard for us to get it up to melting point for the copper. Copper needs 2,000 degrees and aluminum needs around 1,000, roughly. It was a big disaster at this point. I was very discouraging trying to get these all this extra wasted copper out. I felt like I was wasting a lot of copper in the thin air. If you put too much oxygen in, the copper will actually evaporate into thin air. And I just felt like very hopeless. Then when I went to go and try to scrap this copper here, they wouldn't take it. It takes months to get the money back. They have to do the testing and stuff, but it ended up coming back pure. So got the money back for it, and I was able to, you know, recirculate everything that I was able to salvage. So I ended up going really too big, like I said. Should have stopped earlier. I ended up going way bigger than I should have. I was able to buy this carbon block. I was all excited, having a nice big insulated ceiling, and because I figured, that was my problem previously with the insulation. So I spent a lot of time building this outside. A lot of time building it outside. And the carbon block, very expensive. Building it outside, got into shape. It was nice exercise, that's for sure, and it was definitely oversized, and I was definitely excited the whole time, and I was definitely smiling. And then everybody started getting upset with me because, you know, we don't really own here, we rent. So I ended up having to readjust, and we can get into that later. But for the time being, for the video here, just let me explain exactly what I built here. So along my journey, I was able to acquire these very large crucibles, too large for me, um, too large for the copper. I mean, I estimate that it would hold 600 pounds of copper. So as you can see there, the crucibles are really, really big, and it's part of the downside here with this whole foundry. By using those crucibles, I just wasn't able to get it to melting point at all. So this is me trying to get it to melting point, and it would have worked out perfect for aluminum. I had 8 burners going. I realized pretty quickly on that it just was not going to be efficient enough for the copper anyways. But yeah, it was, the shutdown was more due to just appeasing everybody, making everybody happy, and just, I started thinking about using that container to be able to do it in the container. I started thinking about going electric, started thinking about this and that. Kept on remembering what I was able to get though. I was able to melt my scrap into these ingots. I just wasn't able to pour it yet. Was not able to pour it yet. I have an awesome foundry. I have an awesome system set up, and I got that crane set up there. That crane set up. That was my solution for getting my guys to be happy, so they'd be able to help me. Nice and easy. The crane comes down, gets the copper out, pulls the copper, brings it into the into that form that I made, and then yeah, I would have a solid bottom copper pot, which would have been amazing. But I quickly found out that that foundry outside is just going to be better off for aluminum than for copper, so I had to pull the plug on it, unfortunately. So it is still there and it is still able to get used. We are going to use it for aluminum. And I have a lot of things I need to make with aluminum, mainly dies for the metal spinning machine and dies for the lathe and stuff, jigs, etc. But yeah, definitely plausible to continue. So this is me messing around with the lathe here, getting it all set up for eventually being able to make my own parts and pieces. I wanted to put those ingots that I had from the crucibles every time. I wasn't able to pour it. Other than that one day, then the guys quit on me, and I ended up building the foundry bigger, and I wasn't able to get back to melting point for the whole fucking process. But anyways, this is my next idea here where I wanted to go electric. So I figured, let's see how much it's going to cost electrically, because you know the propane. I mean, I was already into this for at least $1,000 just in propane. All these times experimenting. I mean, this video is not going to stress enough how many hours I put into this. But yeah, this is the so I figured I already have the crucibles. Let's do an electric arc furnace. Let's see if this is even plausible. Let's pick up a couple welders. Let's get some juice in here. And let's see if we can make an electric arc furnace. Having the electrodes come down and just cook, like you see on the YouTube videos, right? But no, that's not how it was at all. It wasn't. I think they're running like 480 or something like that for volts, because yeah, nah, it just didn't work out well. Didn't work out well. But it was a good experience. You know, I still had the foundry outside I was thinking about, still dreaming about that. I was just kind of on the whole like, hey, everybody, don't worry. I'm not going to be doing it outside, okay? You don't have to worry. You don't have to worry. But yeah. inside my mind, I was thinking the whole time, you know, even if this electric doesn't work, I can always go back outside and finish what I started out there. So kept on going with the electric. It was really cool. I liked it. However, no, it just didn't work. It did not work. I wasn't getting it melting at all. It was not like I saw online, and I got quickly discouraged. But I did not give up, and I ended up just buying bigger and bigger welders is what I ended up doing. Then when I got to the point where I was like, holy shit, like even with the 400 amp welder, it's still not working. Like this, I have to stop. I have to stop. So I ended up moving on like I always do. At this point, I'm probably 4 months in, and we're talking every day to figure this out. And it's, you know, trying to manage the business with my guys and everything. But, you know, the end goal here is, can we make our own copper sheets one day? Can we make our own copper fittings today? Can we pour this copper into this form today? Can we reduce our reliance on foreign fittings and parts? Even if it costs more, I don't care. I just want to make an all-American, made in USA copper moonshine still. These parts and fittings are stamped with Thailand and China on them. It's going to be so easy for me to make these parts and fittings. Even 4 months in, I'm still invigorated and still excited about moving forward. Even dumping all this money into it, getting all these welders and doing all this stuff outside that I'm not able to do yet. I'm still happy. I'm still excited. I'm still Liberation Day, April 2nd, motivated to get this done, because it is going to get done, and it has gotten done, and it has paid off to the point for me to make this video, and I'm happy to tell you guys about my journey here. So I was able to make fittings already. The best one so far is the 2-inch to 1-inch reducer to replace when we make a copper proofing parrot. They're getting like $25 a fitting at our local supply store just for the one fitting. So we have been able to make a bunch of those. I'm having a decent amount of success. I'm at about 2-hour melt time currently. What you're looking at here now is our indoor foundry, where I'm able to melt our scrap copper and pour the copper into bars and turn those bars on my lathe to make parts and pieces for my copper shop. Mission accomplished. October 11th, 2025. Trying a bunch of different ideas, a bunch of different ways to do it. And I finally ended up figuring it out by just going smaller. So basically what happened was I did all the work, I put all the energy in, I figured it all out, but my foundry was always just too big for my knowledge level at that point. So eventually I had enough knowledge where I was able to go smaller again and take it serious and take it like a scientist and stop doing brute force and stop doing just hitting it with a hammer and expecting it to work, and actually thinking like a scientist and actually figuring it out. And I was able to figure it out. And I'm happy to say that we're able to make our own parts and fittings in-house. We are on our way to being able to make our own copper sheets. That's going to be a journey.
4-foot carbon block as a lid, insulated with K-wool.
We still have the foundry outside. We're still able to make my aluminum molds coming up here. That's going to be fun. I'm extremely excited about being able to melt aluminum. It's going to be real easy. It's half the temperature of copper. I'm getting more comfortable with the copper. I'm getting more efficient with the copper. I'm getting happier and happier every day for the profitability of the business. We're going to be able to make our own ferrules. You know, on the top of our advanced model copper moonshine stills, you got the 4-inch stainless ferrules. We're going to be able to make them out of copper. The 4-inch fruit port or smaller sized fruit ports, going to be able to make them out of copper. All fully in control. Melting our own scrap from our pure copper sheets. It's been a wild ride. I have a lot of people to thank. A lot of people helped me along the way. A lot of people encouraged me. I want to thank my guys for sticking with me and trying to the best of their ability.
How bad?
So how long was that?
Stop.
6, 7 months, right? To figure out something that is going to propel my business to the next level.
Fuck yes.
These fittings are thicker, more customized, and it seems very promising. So, just some things I wanted to say here in regards to the melting of the copper. It's very dangerous. It's gonna hurt yourself. It's gonna be a wild ride. It's just all about the temperature. You put your tongs in. If you put anything inside the foundry and it's not the right temperature, it's gonna solidify the copper. So it's definitely a cool process that I was able to learn. Now that I'm able to melt the copper in under 2 hours, I've stopped there with the efficiency and I started to move on to the turning of the copper. Of course, there's plenty more for me to learn in regards to the pouring and being more efficient, but in regards to actually melting the copper and actually getting parts and pieces that we can use today, mission accomplished. So if you're interested in a copper moonshine still, please check out our website, moonshinestills.com. This is Jonathan Zajac with the Distillery Network. We are one of the only companies, I haven't checked, I don't check them, but I think we're the only company that does our metal spinning cones, all one-piece cones. And now we're the only company that does almost all of our fittings. I can't say we're doing all of our fittings, but almost all of our fittings are made in-house. So in regards to me being a machinist, that's where I'm at today, just learning how things are done the right way, the threading, etc. So I got a lot to learn there. But in regards to getting this copper to look nice into a fitting form that I can actually use for a copper moonshine still, we're in the money here. We're in business. So I've been excited. I want to start bragging about it. I want to start telling you guys and showing you guys what I've been able to do. May not be the prettiest, but I got really cool ideas that I'm working on, and it's gonna be pretty when I'm done, because I'm never gonna give up. Blasting off like a rocket ship, taking over the whole industry. Unless I hurt myself on one of these machines or one of these processes, but I'm going real safe. Going real safe. Don't worry. So I'm able to have these ingots here. I'm able to open up a lot of opportunity and a lot of doors with these ingots. These ingots are going to help propel our company. We could probably sell these to other machinists. We're just going to focus on ourselves for now. So yeah, this is Jonathan Zajac with the Distillery Network. You can check out our website, www.moonshinestillswithan.s.com. I really appreciate you watching the video. You can give me a call, text, or email. You got 603-997-6786 and owner@thedistillerynetwork.com. That's owner@thedistillerynetwork.com. It's been a wild ride melting this copper. I'm really excited for our future. If they could do the copper sheets hundreds of years ago, and Paul Revere figuring out how to do the copper sheets in USA helped shape America's history. We were then able to supply the US Navy with sheets of copper that were made in USA instead of imported. Making our own copper sheets is my top priority. And I'm now a huge leap forward to that goal. Actually, the funny thing is, during one of the processes where I'm melting the copper, while I was figuring out how to get it chemically proper, my research showed me that if I just took the copper as is at that moment, I could just put it through a rolling mill and have a flat stock sheet of copper. So we are actually really close. I think that if we had a rolling mill, we would be able to make our own sheets of copper. So, really excited here. Thank you for watching the video. Really appreciate it. Stay tuned for more cooler stuff coming out of our shop. Last year it was the metal spinning machine. This year it's the melting of the copper and making our own sheets. I am going to pour the copper in that mold that you saw in the video there, and I'll update you guys on that as well, because it's a huge part of what sparked my interest in this whole thing to begin with. But I just think that the parts and the pieces and the fittings is going to be better off for us for profit now. The metal spinning machine actually can make that shape, that large bowl shape, more efficiently if I just buy the sheets. But yeah, I am going to experiment more with that as well as I get more time here, hopefully this upcoming holiday season. So 603-997-6786. Give me a call anytime. 603-997-6786. Really appreciate you guys watching. Thank you. For over 15 years, I've been building these copper stills, supplying the whole world with over 14,000 units. No investors, no backing, no shortcuts, except riding my father's coattail, of course. You got to check out his website too, www.stillz.com. Every expansion funded through production revenue, built from scratch. 15 years building up my equipment, my tooling, my marketing, doing the website, dealing with the shipping companies. Fulfillment of these orders is tough. Constantly reinvesting in machinery just to get me to this point here. Training all my people. I know what the next step is. full material independence. I need a rolling mill to roll the copper into sheets. Copper's a magical metal. It's magical. This copper can get smushed down and stretched 11 times the length and 4 times the width. This copper that I'm melting can get melted into our own sheets to make our own copper moonshine stills. And the stills are going to be a lot thicker too. A lot thicker. Much better product for the customer. Me depending on these companies to supply the sheets. Sometimes the sheets come in all dented and scratched up. Stopping the dependence of the fittings, like we're doing right now, and the actual sheets is going to propel our business. Not having to deal with these companies having to tell us, oh, this is the last time at that price. The next time you come in, it's still the same batch. It's still the same batch that they're sitting on. They're just using the market forces that are happening right now to get more money from us. It's ridiculous. And then, of course, being in control of our own quality. I'm going to be able to know what's in our copper. I need to acquire a rolling mill. I could go overseas and get one shipped over, probably $50,000, including or not including the shipping, depending on the model I get. Can probably do it for less. There's a lot of reasons why I need this rolling mill. You know, my vision when I first started this business and branched off from my dad's was to go public one day. In order to supply the copper that we really need at the thicknesses that we really need for our customers to only choose us and have the best product possible, we need a rolling mill. We need to be able to melt our own copper and smush it down and stretch it out into our own sheets. It's completely plausible. It may take me a lot longer than it just took with this other project that just took 6 months. I understand that it may take a long time, but without anybody's help right now, I'm looking at years before I have a rolling mill. I have a couple options. I could build one, which my estimation is 1 year to actually build one backyard style, and it's just not going to be good enough. It's not going to have the features needed to get the sheets comparable to our competitors. Second option is importing one or finding one here in USA, of course, that's available. Just wanted to cover something before we go into any type of investment stuff. After the revolution, Paul Revere saw the same weakness. America relied on foreign copper. He sent his son to Europe to secretly learn how the British rolled copper sheets for their naval fleets. When his son returned, they built the first American copper rolling mill in Canton, Massachusetts, not too far from here in New Hampshire. Those sheets covered the hulls of early U.S. Navy warships, protecting them from corrosion and giving America a decisive advantage at sea, stopping the reliance on foreign sheets of copper against our enemy. We're buying the copper from our enemy. That single act of independence in metal production shifted the balance of power and proved that self-reliance builds strength. Now, listen, I've never asked for an investment in this whole company, but when I registered the company, we registered as a private corporation with 1,000 private shares that I've never shared with anybody before. So my vision is that we're following the same path, building local independence in metal production. We're not just making stills, but resurrecting a lost American process. Don't even get me started on the whole tariffs and the whole all that stuff. We are competing on a world stage. Don't even get me started on the Vivors and the stainless steel stills that are competing with us. That's a whole nother video. Transforming our scrap into raw copper, into finished precision components is going to propel ourselves to the next level. It's going to make it so our competitors won't be able to compete. We're trying to lay the groundwork for the future of our business, the next 15 years, the next 50 years, the next 500 years, forever, with how do we make it so we can go from scrap copper to finished product without relying on anybody else. Building a self-sufficient manufacturing system in New Hampshire at my shop, training workers, creating skilled jobs, keeping fabrication knowledge inside the USA. Reinforcing the message, built in America, by Americans, with American metal. I, Jonathan Zajac, of the Distillery Network, for the first time ever, as of October 11th, 2025, after I just spent probably 6 hours editing this video, making this video, I'm seeking financial support to acquire and install this rolling mill system, and I'm willing to share my shares. Now, please keep in mind, my plan since day one has been to go public one day. So if there's any educated investors that are listening, please call me. This machine's going to require heavy-duty gearboxes, motors, bearing assembly. It's going to be really hard to get set up. It's going to cost 10 grand just to get it set up. I need to do huge work just to the foundation of the floor where I'm going to get this machine set up. Need a lot of funds. I'm open to qualified investors who understand long-term manufacturing value. Our private shares are legally registered in the state of New Hampshire, and I'm willing to allocate equity to strategic partners who want a partnership with us to participate in the next phase of our production growth. So in closing, if there's anybody out there that's listening that's interested in what I'm doing with everything that you saw in this video, and if you've made it to the end of this video and you can hear what I'm trying to say, please contact us and we'd be more than happy to talk in regards to giving up a percentage ownership of the company in exchange for a partnership with the right investor. That being said, let me talk about the market for a little bit. Things were booming 5 years ago. You want to know what happened? The stainless steel overseas manufactured Chinese moonshine stills entered the scene. And it went from, hey, what's a good company to get a moonshine still from? It went from, yeah, here's this American manufacturing company. It went from that to, oh yeah, check out Viver. Because why would somebody pay $700 when it's $79 for everything you need? Now, a stainless steel still is obsolete when it comes to making good moonshine. So eventually all those people are buying a copper moonshine still, but we are competing against forces that we need help competing against. We need help competing against these forces. So 603-997-6786. Call or text anytime. Email owner@thedistillerynetwork.com. Thank you very much for listening to this video. Really appreciate it.